Hey guys. So, today I'm sharing a personal story. If you're like me, you know that expressing emotions can be a real challenge. Sometimes, I just didn't know how to say what I was feeling, and I thought, why is it so hard to talk about feelings? But trust me, I've learned a lot on this journey, and I want to tell you how I got better at it. Let me take you back to a time when I was pretty bad at expressing myself emotionally. I used to bottle things up, which just made me feel worse. Maybe you've been there too. You're feeling upset, frustrated, or even happy, but you just don't know how to show it or talk about it. It's like the words are stuck in your throat. But over time, I realized that if I didn't start expressing myself, things just built up inside me. I needed to find a way to put my emotions into words. And I was determined to figure it out. The first thing I did was learn to recognize my feelings. Sounds simple, right? But trust me, it's harder than it sounds. For a long time, I would just feel this, blah, feeling, and I had no idea what it was. Is it sadness, frustration, anxiety? Over time, I realized that the first step to expressing my emotions was actually understanding them. One of the first things I started saying to myself was, I'm feeling overwhelmed, or, I'm feeling frustrated. Simple phrases, but it helped me separate my emotions from just being a general, bad mood. But as I started learning about different emotions and the names, I began noticing just how many emotions I go through in my daily life. Maybe you've noticed it too. You experience so many feelings, but sometimes you don't know how to express them. But don't worry, that's all about to change. We're going to take a quick tour of the emotions in your life through my story. Now, let me tell you how my life got filled with emotions over time. I'll share a story with you, and I want you to pay close attention and try to guess how many emotions I used. Once you've made your guess, I'll reveal the names of those emotions and their meanings. Ready? Let's go. A few months ago, I was working on a big project at work. I had been putting in a lot of hours, and I was feeling like there was just too much on my plate. I was overwhelmed by the constant tasks and deadlines. There were moments when I just didn't know how to handle it. It wasn't just work. I was also dealing with personal issues. At the same time, I had a falling out with a close friend, and the argument left me feeling completely dazed. I couldn't understand how we'd gotten to that point, and I didn't know what to say. Later that day, things started to pile up. I felt flooded by the number of things I had to get done, both at work and at home. My thoughts were all over the place, and I couldn't keep track of everything. It was one of those days when it felt like I was swimming in a sea of emotions, unable to find a way to stay afloat. The next morning, I woke up and realized I was swamped. There were emails to answer, tasks to complete, and no real time to take a break. I was already exhausted from the previous days, and I had no energy left to keep pushing. Everything seemed like too much. My emotions, my responsibilities, they all felt like they were spinning out of control. I felt completely out of control. Every time I tried to handle something, it slipped away, and I couldn't keep up. To make matters worse, a family member went through a difficult situation, and I felt completely helpless. No matter how much I wanted to help, I couldn't fix what was happening. It was hard to watch someone I care about go through something and not be able to do anything about it. So, how many emotions do you think I used in that story? Let's go over them now and break down what each one means. First, we have overwhelmed, feeling like there's just too much going on, like your brain is overloaded. For example, when work piles up and you don't know where to start. Next, we have frustrated. This is when things don't go as planned, and you feel irritated or stuck. Like when you're doing everything right, but nothing seems to click. Then comes dazed, a feeling of confusion or being stunned by something that happened unexpectedly. Think of those moments when something catches you off guard and you just don't know how to react. After that, we have flooded, when emotions or thoughts come all at once, and you feel unable to handle them. It's like your brain is overwhelmed with everything happening at once, and you can't process it. Next is swamped, being overwhelmed by too much work or responsibility. This is when tasks pile up and you can't seem to keep up, no matter how hard you try. Then there's exhausted, feeling physically or emotionally drained, like you've given all you can. It's when you're at your limit and have nothing left to give. After that, we have out of control, losing grip on emotions or situations, feeling like everything is spiraling. It's when things feel like they're getting away from you, and you can't manage everything. Finally, we have helpless, feeling unable to fix or cope with a difficult situation. It's when you know something is wrong, but no matter what you do, you just can't fix it. Now, you see how many emotions came up in just one story, and how they connected to each other. Recognizing and naming these emotions wasn't easy for me at first, but once I started to express them, it became easier to understand what I was going through. Okay, so now that I knew what I was feeling, the next challenge was figuring out how to actually express it to someone. Honestly, this took me a while. I had to remind myself that it was okay to talk about my emotions. You know how it is, we all have that inner voice telling us, don't say anything, it'll make things awkward. But here's the truth, it's okay to be vulnerable. In fact, vulnerability is a crucial part of emotional expression. So, I started with simple phrases like, I'm feeling a bit down today, I'm really excited about this. Or, I feel frustrated with how things are going. These phrases were a good starting point, but I also began using more specific expressions like, I'm feeling crushed by all this pressure, or, I'm really dazed right now, I need a moment. When the workload started to overwhelm me, I would say, I'm so swamped with work, I can't keep up, or, I'm flooded with thoughts right now. At first, saying these phrases out loud was uncomfortable, but with time, I realized that expressing myself made me feel heard. It allowed others to understand where I was coming from, which was a huge relief. For example, when I was feeling overwhelmed at work, I told a colleague, I'm feeling a bit swamped right now with all these tasks. They immediately offered to help, and that made a huge difference. Similarly, when I told a friend, I'm feeling a bit down today, they didn't judge me. Instead, they listened, and that support made all the difference. Now, emotions can be complicated, especially when you're feeling a mix of different things at the same time. It can be really confusing, right? Have you ever felt both happy and sad at once? Like when I got a new job offer, I was excited about the opportunity, but at the same time, I felt sad because it meant leaving my friends behind. It's a strange feeling when your heart is pulled in different directions. In situations like that, I found it helpful to use phrases like, "I'm feeling a bit torn," "I'm stuck between two emotions," or "I'm in two minds about this." These phrases allowed me to express the confusion I was feeling. For example, I could say, "I'm feeling a bit torn about moving to a new city. I'm excited, but I'll miss my friends here." Learning that conflicting emotions are completely normal helped me stop feeling guilty for not having just one clear emotion. It's perfectly okay to feel a mix of emotions. It doesn't make you weak or confused, it just makes you human. And I've come to realize that expressing those emotions is the key to understanding and dealing with them. You know, we always talk about the negative stuff, but what about when we're happy? We all want to share our joy, but sometimes we get stuck in our heads about how to do it. To express happiness, I used phrases like, "I'm so pumped about this," "I'm over the moon," or "I feel on top of the world right now." These are just fun ways to show that you're in a great mood. I remember telling my friend, "I'm over the moon about this promotion." It felt so good to let that excitement out. And then there's anger, a big one. For the longest time, I didn't know how to express anger without feeling guilty or ashamed. But guess what? Anger is a completely normal emotion, and it's okay to feel it, as long as you express it in a healthy way. Some of the phrases I started using to express anger were, "I'm really upset right now. I need to take a step back. I'm angry. I'm furious about this." For example, when something at work wasn't fair, I would say, "I'm really upset right now with how things are going." That simple sentence let everyone know how I was feeling without escalating the situation, and it made a huge difference. It was a game changer for me, honestly. And then there's stress, which we all deal with. But how often do we actually talk about it? It's so easy to say, "I'm fine," but that doesn't really help anyone, does it? I started learning phrases like, "I'm feeling stressed out," "I need a break," "This is getting to me." I found myself saying, "I'm feeling stressed out. Can we talk about it?" It was such a relief to finally express that stress isn't a weakness. It's just a part of life, something everyone deals with, and being able to talk about it made a world of difference. Now, I'm able to express myself much more easily. Sure, I still have moments where I freeze up or don't know the right words, but overall, it's become part of my routine. It's like I've built this emotional vocabulary, and now I can talk about everything, from feeling overwhelmed to feeling on top of the world. So, here's the thing. Expressing your emotions isn't something you can just get overnight. It takes time, practice, and a willingness to be open with yourself and others. But the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And you know what? The people around you will start to feel more comfortable sharing their emotions too. It's like setting an example for others to follow. If you've been struggling to express how you feel, don't worry. Start with the basics, like saying, "I'm feeling down," or "I'm so happy." Keep practicing, and before you know it, you'll have this whole new emotional vocabulary. Thanks for listening to my story today. I hope this helps you express your feelings better. Let me know in the comments how you express your emotions, and if you have any phrases that help you. Catch you later.